I begged and they listened. Thank you.
Two, okay. So that's, how many we need? 17?
16.
16?
For those who are joining us online on Facebook, if you could put your name in a chat message, then we could get an adequate count.
Did anyone else need another booklet I can get?
There's some on the chair in the back here.
Oh, okay. All right, anybody? Yeah. Anyone else?
Who do we
No,
have,
two,
Sarah?
twice as good.
Do we have any of those, Sarah?
Did you need one, Sandy?
Now we have reviewers, but nobody's.
Okay. Did you get one, Kathy? Okay. I'll,
Who do we have for viewers? Can you see?
okay, let's send it. I gotta get my folder, I can send a text message.
For anyone who's watching online, if you could type your name in a message or a comment, we need to get an adequate count so we know we have a quorum. Thank you.
Jim might be,
Oh, Beth Andrews is watching.
okay.
I guess I'm hard to hear.
Oh, you might be one of the viewers. Are you watching it on your phone?
No,
Oh, okay.
I am not watching it on my phone.
Who said that?
Beth just said that I'm hard to hear. Is this better?
Should be the sound system as it's. Let's see here. So Beth, I'm trying to think of other council members that would be.
I haven't increased our viewers at all.
Okay. Let me go over it.
We need a total of 7 online. We have 1 that we know of. We're waiting for people to type in their names.
Yes, the basketball tournament.
Has anyone who's watching online typed in their name
Yes.
yet? Beth has. Anyone else, and would you type your name in the comments so we know that we have a quorum? Thank you. What happens if we don't have a quorum? Do we have to reschedule?
No, we'll get a quorum.
We just can't vote on anything. You don't have a quorum. You can't vote. You can't conduct official business without. Now it says I have a comment.
Yeah, 7, she has 7 comments.
We need to know names so that we
There.
know that who's.
Okay.
We've got Jim, we've got Susie Nitschke.
And you got Jim Steele?
Jim Stiles.
Oh, Stiles.
Jim Stiles, Beth Andrews, Susie Nitschke. Anyone else?
1, 2, 3. There's 5. Did you hear back from any of the texts you sent?
No, I have not.
Do they go on Facebook? Oh, sure.
Well, I think I will call the meeting to order, and then as Kathy said, we don't vote on anything, so hopefully we get a couple more on before we get to that point.
That's true.
Pastor Jordan, would you want to lead us in prayer?
Sure. Another mic. I can carry it around if people need to say anything to them.
And will you just let us know if anyone else types in? Thank you.
Dear God, we thank you today for bringing us together here and those who are online. We ask that if there are others available, that we would be able to reach the point of a quorum so that whatever votes need to be taken can be. We thank you for the opportunity to make decisions about the church, about the future of the church, to hear about how things have gone at the church, and thank you for this, just the blessing of that freedom. Pray that you would give us wisdom in the decisions that are made and guide our church in the year to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jordan. I will begin with reading the minutes from last year's meeting. Our meeting was held on January 30th, 2022. Treasurer Christine Henderson filled in for President Jamie Lakadinsky and called the meeting to order. We had a quorum with 16 members present and 10 members on Zoom. Pastor Jordan opened with a prayer. Minutes from last meeting read by Council Member Amanda Huber, filling in for Secretary Beth Andrews. Ron Klein motioned to accept the minutes as read. John Shealy seconded that motion. Motion carried. Christine presented the treasurer's report. The checkbook balance as of December 31st, 2021 was $9,505.81. Our total expenses for the year were $52,558.35, and total income was $63,392.42. We continue to receive quarterly interest disbursements from the Burgess Trust. In addition to the checking account, liquid assets include 2 CDs, the Women Savings Account, the Building Fund Savings Account, the Money Market Savings Account, and a checking account for the Luther League. These total $85,323.63. Major expenses for the year included the installation of the new basement flooring, installation of the camera system, which included a laptop and microphones, and a roof repair of $1,458.80. The church received an insurance check for roof damage following the storm in June 2021. The portion which was not used for the roof repair was deposited into the building fund until shingles replacement or other repair is completed. John Shealy shared a message from Cameron Young that he had audited the books and found them in good standing. Amanda Huber motioned to accept the treasurer report, and Kathy DeBolt seconded. Motion carried. Proposed budget. Christine said the proposed budget for 2022 totaled $54,400. Kathy DeBolt asked why mileage was dropped and was told that Pastor Jordan never submits claims. Kathy DeBolt motioned to approve the budget, and Ron Klein seconded the motion. Motion carried. Committee reports. Committee reports available in the annual booklet. Christine Henderson thanked Beth for putting the annual report book together and Jamie Legodinsky for printing. The nominating committee reported 5 vacancies, a 1-year term for 22 and 23, a 2-year term for 22 through 24, and a 3-year term for 22 through 25. Sandy Anderson volunteered to fill one of the 3-year terms. Jim Stiles volunteered to fill another 3-year term. Beth Andrews volunteered to fill the 1-year term. Amanda Huber agreed to fill the other 3-year term if the council met quarterly. Christine asked twice if there were any other nominations and had no response. Discussion moved on to 2 items of new business, making an amendment to the Constitution to change the council from 7 to 5 members, and making another amendment to change the frequency of meetings to once every 3 months. Christine Henderson explained that in order to hold the council meetings and make decisions, that with a 7-member council, they would need a quorum of 4 people in order to approve motions, and it has proven to be challenging to find a time when all can meet. The council hoped that by passing the other amendment to reduce the number of meetings, it would attract more people to serve on the council. The council will still hold special meetings if an issue arose. Per discussion, the council must publish the proposed amendments and get 30 days notice before holding a reading. The proposed amendments will be shared in the bulletin, posted on the church's Facebook page and website, and a copy will be posted on the bulletin board. Tim Callahan asked if Jim Stiles if he would serve a 3-year term or return to finish out his original term that would end in 2 years. Jim said he would serve 3 years. Tim Callahan made a motion to accept the nominations as presented. Dennis Leppert seconded the motion. There was unanimous ballot to accept. Old business. The basement flooring was installed. The kitchen was painted. The camera media system was installed, and a minor roof repair was completed. Pew cushion update. The council received a very expensive quote from a company, Wagoners. Beth never received a response from either Hutterite colony she contacted about sewing new cushions. The council looked into ordering a hand sanitizer station, but it was back ordered. The church may have to look on Amazon. New business. A constitutional amendment to change the council to 5 members and a constitutional amendment to change the quarterly meetings for the church council was held during council nominations. Several members would like to return to traditional communion. Pastor Jordan was not opposed to the idea, but pointed out that it requires more work both before and after the service. Further, the single-use cups prevented cross-contamination for people who need a gluten-free option. Suggestions included coming forward for distribution but still using the cups, or having the gluten-free cups available for those who need them. Discussion was brought up to make more keys so those who attend church that don't have one do not need to wait outside if they arrive earlier. Options suggested included making numbered keys and keeping track of who they were given to, installing a digital lockbox to retrieve a key if someone forgets theirs, or getting a digital lock installed in one of the doors. Nominating committee. Amanda Huber and Kathy DeBolt and Ron Klein suggested the church make nominating committee those members who are leaving their terms in the church council, similar to other boards he has served. Amanda Huber and Kathy DeBolt were the nominating committee, and Ron Klein made the suggestion. Auditing committee. Sharon Fear served a 2nd year, and Susie Nitschke served her 1st year. Pastoral committee. Mary Steele and Arden Fear. Missions committee is Sharon Fear, Lori Callahan, and Beth Andrews. Funeral committee is Kathy DeBolt, Mary Steele, and Susie Nitschke. The LCMC's 22nd annual gathering and convention will be held October 2nd through October 5th of 2022 in Lakeville, Minnesota. Mary and Jim Steele volunteered as delegates. Christine will send Mary the information. Tim Callahan made a motion to accept the committee volunteers. Jody Shealy seconded, and the motion carried. Pastor Jordan pointed out that Millie Leopard's funeral was on February 13th of 2021, not December 13th, 2021, as stated in the report. He gave praise to all for showing grace and being flexible during the pandemic. He thanked all, especially Jim Stiles, for contributing to the new media system. He explained that he intended to re-engage with people in their homes. He thanked his family for their participation in the services and asked for volunteers to help run the camera system. Pastor Jordan closed in prayer and invited everyone to stay for Luther League soup. Christine thanked everyone. Tim Callahan motioned to adjourn the meeting. John Shealy seconded. Meeting adjourned. Have we added anyone?
Yes, we have Kerwood and Helen Seafeld. So far, it's Kerwood, Helen, Susie Nitschke, Jim Stiles, and Beth.
Okay,
But I think that still leaves us one short.
okay.
Make one more announce one more time, just got the audio that,
Okay.
anyone, because there's 7 viewers.
Okay, of our seven viewers on the audio, I'm getting texts here from people. Of the 7 people that are viewing, if you type in your name, please, in the comments so we can get an adequate count for a quorum. We have added Kerwood and Helen Seafelt and Beth okay, so we have Beth, Jim, Susie, Kerwood, and Helen, and Beth just texted that Charlie's going to jump on. He's of voting age, so he would count.
Okay, that would be 6 then.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Let me see if I can get my son to jump on.
We just had 3 more viewers join,
Okay,
but,
Go
here we
Arden, Sharon, and
go.
Heidi.
So we're
Okay.
fine now.
okay. Arden and Sharon and Heidi, thank you. Okay, so we have a quorum. Apologies for those of you, I'm not reading the minutes a second time, they were rather long. For those who were listening either in person or online, could I get a motion to accept those minutes? Kathy DeBolt motions. Second. Clarence Muslin seconds. Motion carries. Oh, well, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm getting into my groove, I hope. In our booklet, our treasurer's report is on page 13 with some of the detail breakdown on page 14. For those who are joining online and don't have a booklet, I'll go over just the main points. Our total expenses for the year 2022 were $54,159.75. Our total income for the year was $63,374.35. Our assets include $20,994.50 in our checking account, and we have a total of $87,202.14 in a couple of CDs, a money market account, the building fund savings account, the women's Bible study account, and the Luther League checking account. In the building account is the remaining insurance disbursement for the roof repair of $7,262.30. I will talk more about that insurance disbursement in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to point out that our combined income over budget for the last 2 years is around $20,000. This puts us in a very good financial position, and the council has discussed putting some of our reserve into an I fund, which would bear a higher interest rate than the current money market rate. That's about 1%. However, we opted to wait to put any money into an I-fund until we have more information about the upcoming roof replacement. And we'll talk about that later. An audit report. Thank you, Susie, for joining us. Susie got in touch with me this week. She found 2 errors in incorrect check numbers, which we amended. She also recommended adding a column on my record-keeping spreadsheet that would show which date the offering was received, or which Sunday it was received versus which date it was deposited, since I've been out of state quite a few weeks and I did not get them deposited on a regular basis this summer. Are there any questions on the treasurer's report?
Christine, does that 76 or 7262 from the insurance, is that included in the income line?
Okay, Pastor Jordan asked if the $7,200 from the insurance is included in the income line. It is not. It was received last year in 2021. It is part of the building fund, which has $11,000 in there. Any other questions on the treasurer's report or the money? Ron Klein makes a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Dave Schweigert seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
We'll watch the screen if anybody opposes.
Okay.
Tell them to just write opposed if they oppose.
Okay. Pastor Jordan suggests either write oppose or in favor in the comments.
Well, we'll assume in favor if we don't hear opposed.
We'll assume in favor unless you type in opposed. Hi, Susie. Okay, we are going to move on to the proposed budget. I'm sorry, this is a lot of numbers, especially if you're not watching with a book in front of you. So, our proposed budget is in the last column in the table on page 13. The total of the proposed budget is $87,000 or $87,050. This budget shows modest increases to allow for inflation and anticipated added costs for the year. I'll just cover a couple highlights. We decided as a council to give Katrina a well-earned raise this year, and that is reflected in an increase in the music ministry budget from $1,800 to $2,700. Under the pulpit supply, Pastor Jordan's contract states that he has 12 Sundays which he can use for vacation or farming or whatever. The additional $400 in that budget is to cover mileage for our supply ministers if they are out of town. I'm going to skip over repairs, which is the next line. We'll get back to that. Several members of our congregation have indicated that they would like to see that our church be more involved in missions and outreach, and so we increased the budget for that from $4,000 to $6,500. My notes are in disarray. I think I gave Sandy my other one. There we go. I gave Sandy 2 copies. Okay, office expenses have been increased because of supplies. We also, as a council, decided it would be in our best interest to invest in a copyright license since we have online broadcasts, if that's the right word, of our church, and we wanted to make sure that we were covered for copyright violations. Okay, so the other major change in our budget then is under repairs and maintenance. We've already talked about needing to replace the roof. Jamie was working on getting bids for materials, and since she isn't here, I'm not sure where she is at with that. Numerous people on the council spoke with contractors, and all of them said the same thing. They didn't want to even think about submitting a bid until the spring or this year because they were so busy finishing up with fall work. Our best estimate is, and was this for the whole roof, I think?
Yes.
If we replace the whole roof with materials and labor, we assumed that the highest amount would be $27,000. And this is where it gets interesting. We have the $7,262 in the building fund remaining from insurance. Over the last 2 years, our income over our budget and our expenses is about $20,000. So between the insurance payment and the excess income over the last 2 years, we've already paid for the roof. It's just a matter of moving the money from the building fund or the money market, and it's already covered. I guess what we need to discuss is if we replace half of the roof that was damaged, or if we replace the entire roof, and if we decide if we go with steel or if we continue to use asphalt shingles. Those are our major questions with that. And we can talk about that under new business. For now, the proposed budget with the $87,000, which would include the roof repair, if we took that out, our budget would be closer to $60,000 for the coming year, and our income for this year was $63,000, so it's about on target with what we've been receiving. Is there any question on the proposed budget? We will need a motion to approve the budget. Okay, Ron Klein motions to approve the budget. Dave's nodding his head to second. Dave Schweigert seconds. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We have a budget. Okay, committee reports. Thank you again to Beth for putting the books together and Jamie to print them. And Jim for putting everything on the website. Okay, we will move on to nominations before we move on to anything else. Amanda Huber and Kathy DeBolt were still on our nominating committee. We currently have 2 vacancies on our church council. Did you find anyone?
I approached about 7 different people and got no positive response.
Okay, so,
I asked Amanda if she had contacted anybody and she had not.
okay.
So we are still looking.
Okay, so we are still looking. Kathy DeBolt says she did not receive any positive responses. If anyone would like to volunteer, we would welcome that, in person or online. This is a good reminder that we are now holding quarterly meetings.
I tried that too. I
She-
think quarterly meetings equals 3 years of service at a meeting every month. So you're really getting a good deal.
Kathy tried to sell it that it was a good deal.
Well, the other thing we talked about too is that it's not only that we are going to be doing them quarterly, but there'll be the option for Zoom, and a lot of us join by Zoom. You can be on the road, you can be doing anything, short of maybe being at family dinner, but anything that you can multitask and just be involved in the conversation. And the meetings have been about 45 minutes. So I haven't done the math, but 4 times a year, 45 minutes is 180 minutes, so that's 3 hours a year. And it came out to like 0.000009% of the year. So it's not a huge commitment that's really being asked of at this point. I say that somewhat jokingly, but it's true. Anybody can do it in a very, it will not it will not break into your life in a way that is demanding. Can you guys, would you guys agree with that?
I can totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We have a good time. It's
Maybe we
fun.
need to-
It's nice to, be involved. I feel more involved, and it's not a hard job.
Yeah, there are a lot of other committees and boards and meeting things that people are involved in that I know are much, extremely more demanding than this. We're working in an environment where we fortunately have the funds to cover the needs of the church, so we're not having to, every time we meet, choose between two bad decisions. Usually we have some good decisions to make, and that's always good too. So, yeah, there's a lot of positive things that are happening in the church and that happen in the council meetings. So I just feel like it's important to make that clear. Wherever it got a bad rap, I don't know, but we're turning that around, right?
I hope so.
I think what's causing a lot of people to hesitate is Christine is leaving as our treasurer. And there are a lot of people that don't feel they are qualified to run the business of church treasury. So I think there's a lot of hesitancy because they're afraid if they volunteer to be on the council, that they might end up with a job that they don't feel comfortable with or don't feel qualified for.
Okay. Kathy, oh, Jayette is volunteering to be on the council. Thank you, Jayette. And we have another person
Thank you
to
so
include
much,
on our
Jayette.
quorum.
Oh, do you need an update? Let me get you,
Oh.
there's been several more that have been added. So now we have Cameron and Jayette, Leanne Levinsky, Charlie Andrews, and then did I tell you Brian and Heidi?
Oh, Sue as well. Sue Stiles.
Okay.
And Ryan.
Brian and Sue Stiles.
Okay, we've added several more people. I'm not going to rattle through all those names, but Sandy wrote them down, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Jayette. If you did not hear online, Kathy's comments were everyone's scared because Christine is leaving as treasurer and they don't want the job. Christine makes notes. Christine has a spreadsheet. Christine has directions on how to make the spreadsheet, and Christine will do a training session. Don't be scared.
Would Christine, you have your 6-year.
I'm turned out.
I'm wondering if this is even feasible, but what if we were to offer it as a somewhat minimally paid position that was separate from just being on the rotation of a 3-year council? If we had somebody that was willing to you basically be the church treasurer or bookkeeper.
Okay, for,
Aside from council. I don't even know if that's allowed, and I don't know what it would take in that Congress or whatever for that to even go through.
okay, I'll repeat that. I'll paraphrase and make it short. Kathy said, what if we make basically a bookkeeper outside of the council? This is how it worked in my home church of 1,000 members. My mom was a financial secretary. They had a treasurer who was basically the audit committee who came in and looked at the checks and signed the checks and oversaw what my mom did. They had a trustee who is basically the stewardship committee who would come and collect the offering and count it. My mom would make the deposit and she would do all the books. The council members, the trustee and the treasurer were the oversight. They were the names on the checks. So I don't know how that fits in with our constitution, but I could see how it could work.
And I think most churches probably function that way, because my sister was financial secretary for a church in Jamestown too. And, it just seems like the continuity of whoever's keeping the books, handling the finances, keeping track of CDs and interest rates and all the other options that I don't even know anything about, which is why I wouldn't qualify to do it. But if there's somebody that felt that they could handle that and would, if we offered, like I said, maybe just a minimal salary, I don't know what that would look like. But if that makes it a more comfortable situation financially for the church.
Not a member, just to make sure that's clear, not a voting member. But, and in that case, couldn't Christine also, we could offer that that semi-paid position to Christine, and she could continue it if she was willing, like, but, yeah.
Feel like I'm on the spot. Maybe the new council wants to talk about that.
Is that a change in the Constitution that has to have, I mean, can that be voted on at an annual meeting? Or is that something that has to have like the 2 readings previous to being voted on? Or is that only a situation where you come up with something in the middle of the year that needs to be voted on?
In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, if we make this a change in the Constitution, like we did for the quarterly meetings and the size of the council, there's going to be a huge backlog. I think this is something that the council just has to work out, the new council, if they want to hire a bookkeeper or not. I don't think we want to wait and have a first reading and a second reading, because you're going to have 12 months of messed up books if you wait. It's not stated. It says that the duties, the treasurer will handle the finances and the stewardship committee will do the offering, and I've been doing both. Yeah. I know we talked last year in the council about maybe we get help and we form committees for our duties. Like our fellowship committee, we recruit Kathy all the time, so maybe it falls under that umbrella. Have we gotten any more volunteers for council with that? Okay.
Should we remind Amanda that she said if we went to quarterly, she'd give up the board? I forgot about that, so we read it in the minutes.
I'm going to ask for another call for nominations. If she volunteers, I think she nominates herself. Thank you, Jayette. Any other nominations?
I suppose it's not fair to nominate somebody that isn't here, but on the other hand, if they really didn't want to do something, they should be able to refuse nomination.
True, we could nominate someone who isn't here. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we either accept Jayette's volunteer and continue to seek a vacancy.
Amanda could just text, or just message.
We need one more council. Well, okay. Sarah's trying to type a reply here. I'll give her some peace.
I told her to ask Brandon, and he refused because he said his wife was on enough boards for both of them.
Brandon. Oh, what about Brandon? Your son? He's not a busy guy. Just kidding. Don't tell him I said that. What do you think of it? Yeah, every time I call him, he says, you know, I'm not doing much, just watching TV.
Do we have any updates, Sarah? Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to accept Jayette and leave a vacancy that we will continue to seek to fill, or entertain a motion to accept Jayette and nominate someone else.
Amanda volunteers.
Amanda Cook volunteered, okay. So, Can I get a nomination to have Jayette and Amanda Cook? Ron Klein is happy to nominate, motion that. Kathy seconds. All in favor? Thank you, Amanda and Jayette, so much. Motion carries. Okay, I'm a little relieved now. Okay, old business, we had a meeting in September to ratify the constitutional amendments to change the council from 7 to 5 members and to change the quarterly meetings. I just wanted to mention that because I think in my notes it looked like we were going to ratify that here, but we did have our second reading in September. Okay, and then the other old business is the roof replacement. As I said, we are working with Solinger to get material quotes. Jamie was going to see if she could get a quote for steel and asphalt. I don't know if she secured them or if they were still working on them. And then the question was, do we do one side or both sides? And I would just like to receive input on online or in person on what people think.
What was the cost of one side versus, well, we know both sides.
Both sides we were estimating would be around $27,000. So if we do the one side that shows damage, the other side is fairly new yet. If we do the
This must be the one that we're talking about.
right, yeah, the one that got the hail damage. If we do that side only, it'll be around $14,000, and our budget will be well over what we actually need. But we wanted to make sure if we had to do both sides that we accounted for that. The question is if we would be able to find a match so that both sides of the roof would be the same color. That is something we can double check with Solinger and make sure that it looks consistent.
I'm just tasking myself with reporting what's on the comments. So Amanda Cook and Susie Nitschke both say they think we should do both sides.
And one of the things coming from this council meeting that I remember too is the significant difference in the difference between a steel or asphalt shingles. And so the decision, there's like a twofold decision, or threefold, steel or asphalt, and then one side or both sides. So like all three of those things need to be decided. The cheapest option by far would be half doing asphalt. And that would have been even lower than 14, if I remember right. That would have been significantly less. But then doing all with steel would have been the full amount that you indicated. Is that correct? Am I?
That seems to make sense.
Yes. So if you choose steel, it's going to be everything, and that's the full 27, which is.
And there's some question on coverage too, and some of that steel isn't covered very well. Hail.
Right, because they call it cosmetic damage?
Yeah.
You're right. Yes, you're right about that.
So, you got some things here to weigh.
Right.
Okay, so for those online who didn't hear Ron, he mentioned that there is some coverage with hail damage exclusions if we go with steel.
I don't know the exact facts, but I've heard this, so I can't give you the exact ones.
Okay, he doesn't have the details.
Insurance, anybody that deals with insurance will probably tell you right away how the company.
Jamie, I think Jamie did mention that once, if I remember right, that. But
So-
that's the way the insurance works because it doesn't change the functionality of it. It's just dense in the steel, but in an asphalt situation, it actually can provide places where water can intrude. So then it's a functional problem. We have one report here suggesting to do it in asphalt. Oh, Amanda asks, is there insurance for the side that had hail damage? Yes, So there was a payout of $7,200.
Correct. Just a quick summary, we got a check for, it was $8,000. We made a small repair for something that needed immediate repair. And then we had the remainder, $7,200 that got deposited into our building fund, knowing that we would be replacing the roof probably this year. We also have $20,000 in income over our budget over the past 2 years. So we basically have the funds to do the roof now without setting ourselves back.
And right now, it's the question of how much we want to spend. So if we would want to do just asphalt and both sides, that would be, I think that would probably be closer to that 14,000 that you were saying, if I remember from the meeting.
For sure, the 14,000 would be if we just replace the one side that currently has damage, or less, depending on what the bid comes out to be. That's the way I understood it.
Is that,
Most contractors will hit it by the square, it's whatever square it is.
Susie suggests doing the whole roof because you'll never match it perfectly. Because of sun fading and everything to the older side, and so.
Even now, I'm sure you'll see a difference just because of the way the sun is where it's not. Two sides.
But the north side isn't on the sunny side, so maybe there's not the fading or whatever that would be if you were looking at the
How
south
many
side.
years has it been since it was done?
that's a question I was just going to ask, because when was the north side done? That was done, since I've been here. Yes. Or whichever side was done since I've been here. I don't know if it was the north or the south. It was the north? Okay, so the north side then was done since I've been here, but that's any time in the last, well, it was before the pandemic, so probably anywhere from 4 to 10 years ago. The south side, yeah. Yes, including the
I
foyer.
believe the foyer was included with the repair.
Beth suggests using asphalt and doing both sides, and if there's excess money, fixing the basement windows.
So if we use the 14 to do both sides in asphalt, she's saying, can we use the rest and fix those windows?
What's the longevity of steel versus asphalt?
Question is longevity of steel versus asphalt. I know most asphalt are at least 20, if not 25 or 30 now. Steel, I don't know.
They say a lot of asphalt. They say now it can be 50, but I don't. That would be hard to imagine happening. Yeah, it's 50 without sun or rain or anything on it, but an indoor roof. No, but no 30. I think if you have 50-year shingles, I think 30 years is pretty. You can expect 30, and then steel they say is lifetime. Because. Yeah, the way it looks and maybe whatever, it might change, but as far as its functionality. So that's what I've always heard, but.
I'm gathering most people are interested in asphalt. Is there anyone that's for steel, either in person or online? It's awful quiet.
There's nothing yet online that's been reported.
Okay, so moving on, who is in favor in doing one side? Who is in favor in doing two sides? One side? Two sides?
Okay, and everyone online is. One more ad. Okay, so for those who are online, one more came through. Ryan said when there's a leak on steel, it's harder to nail down where it's coming from because it runs down the seams. And then both sides asphalt, two sides. So everybody
Online has said both sides and asphalt.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we all agree then. We want asphalt and we want it all done, both sides.
Should
Does
there be
someone
a-
want to motion that? Oh, Clarence beat you. Clarence Muslin motion to replace both sides with asphalt, and Danette's going to second it. All in favor? Motion carries. I got lost.
Do we want to address Beth's suggestion that we use any excess money to deal with the basement windows?
Does anyone want to motion that?
Deal with, by dealing with what we thought.
Diane says anything within that $27,000 budget, any leftover funds to look at replacing basement windows.
What do we do with what's gonna be done, are we turning them all into egress? I suppose with the place nowadays, it has to be a consideration.
Maybe we see what we have funds and then figure out what we, how we do that. That's maybe the council's job.
Yes. Yeah, they get bids, if they were to need more money, they'd have to do a special meeting to get a bigger budget, but already, I mean, they have something to work with, so, you know, I think that.
Yep. Is there a second for Diane's motion? Danette seconds that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, heading into the home stretch here. New business, we talked about lighting briefly. I don't know if you can tell online. Jim Stiles found an option to get LED lights in our current light fixtures, and we have them installed on all but one side on the south side of the sanctuary, and I think it's much brighter.
You turn off the lights,
You know, these lights get dimmer with time.
The,
And those lights are designed to illuminate upward, and then that base fixture is reflecting it back down. Whereas this one is like blinding to look at, you know. But you're getting more than direct light rather than just relying on the light reflected off the fixture itself.
so for those who aren't here, the LED lighting directs more light down instead of reflecting up off the dark ceiling. The council looked at trying to replace the lights because it's getting darker and darker in here. We looked at your typical church pendant lights, and it was going to be about $10,000, and we kind of sat back and wondered if we wanted to spend that. These LED bulbs that just came out on the market this year are about $35 a bulb. So we just up and replaced them because it was so economical. So I don't think we really need a motion. That was well within a maintenance repair line item, and we just decided we were going to try it out. And I think everyone who's been here is just thrilled with how they look. So, yeah. No more sleeping in church. It's bright now. It's a dramatic difference if Jordan's turning everything on and off, and if you're watching the, yeah, you can see the change. So much cheaper to run an LED, and the cost was just so attractive. Oh, Dennis asked about the lights here that kind of shine on the sanctuary. One is burned out. I don't know if we have an LED option for those. Someone says we probably do, so we'll have to look and see if we can get that to brighten up the front here too.
And I think you said 10,000 if we want to do home independence, and these are each $35.
Okay.
Jim thinks they'll last. They have 10,000 hours, so the amount of time they're actually on, he thinks they'll probably last.
So each of these current, these these new LED lights, they are supposed to last 10,000 hours. So when they burn out, it'll be someone else's problem than anyone that's here. Okay, the other news, Jamie Legedinsky, her home church closed this year, and we got those wonderful padded chairs in the back, and a lift, a chair lift to go into the basement. There was a little glitch with the lift. It's too long for our stairway. So we wondered what to do with that. Do we want to look and see if it would fit in the back stairs, back behind the furnace room, or should we see if we can modify it for this front stairway? What does the congregation think? The back stairs exit is outside.
We have no sidewalk would lead to that.
And there is no sidewalk.
Those that we need to use the lift, that I don't see happening without
Okay.
a whole redesigning of.
Okay. Kathy thinks that we would have to redesign the whole back and add a sidewalk to get the lift on. So I think we'll kick that back to the council and see if they can figure some things out with that. I don't know if it can be shortened. I don't know that we really looked at that. We haven't looked at it. Okay, we could make a note and see if we could find a rail that's more appropriate size and adapt it. Okay.
Is our stairway even wide enough to consider putting in a chair lift?
That's a question too, if our existing stairway up in the front here is wide enough. Something else we have to look at. Is there any other new business?
I'm not sure at what point this should come, but as far as the committee, Mary still asked for her name to come off the funeral committee.
Okay, yeah, we were, that was coming up, so, okay. I'll cross it off now. Okay. Any other new business? All right, then let's look at our committee nominations for the coming year. Our nominating committee was Amanda and Kathy. Kathy, do you still want to be on? How many are we looking for next year? I think it's not going to be 2.
Jimmy's off in 24. Jim's off in 24. Beth's off in 22, 25, so nobody next.
Oh, well, we don't really need a nominating committee because all of our council will stay on for a year then.
Our next off would be in 24, and then 2.
May have to consider rotating that out so that it's staggered a little more. 1, 1, and 2, or 1, 2, and 2. I can't do math. Do you want to stay in the nominating committee if you don't have a job this year? Sure. Okay, Kathy's going to stay in the nominating committee because she doesn't have to find anyone. We're going to make Amanda stay on it too. Okay, auditing committee, Susie Nitschke will be on her second year of the 2-year term. We need someone else to be on the first year for 2 years. This is where Christine says she would volunteer to be the audit committee, but I don't know if the council's going to let me get away with it. Okay, I'll take myself off if I end up being a bookkeeper. Okay, so Christine Henderson on the auditing committee. Pastoral committee, we have Mary Steele and Arden Fewer. Any new volunteers? Do we know if either one of them are no longer interested? Mary Steele and Arden Fewer. They're staying on, okay. It's brutal when you're not here. Okay, Mission Board currently consists of Lori Callahan, Sharon Fear, and Beth Andrews. Okay, they're all gonna be on. They can let us know otherwise. Or they can get their own replacement, Ron Klein says. Okay, funeral committee, we are removing Mary Steele at her request. Kathy DeBolt and Susie Nitschke are also on the committee. Are you still good with that, Kathy and Susie? Kathy says yes. Sure. Kathy would love to have a third person on it just because of life. Susie will continue. Beth Andrews will be the third person. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Susie. Okay, the LCMC annual gathering, I checked this morning. They still have not announced when that's going to be held. Do we have anyone who would be interested in delegates for an unknown meeting for an unknown time? We can ask when we learn more. Okay, is there any other nominations? Any other nominations online? All right, I would entertain a motion to accept all committee nominations. Danette, motions to accept all committee nominations. Second? Oh, Clarence, Diane, I don't know which one of you get to decide. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Pastor Jordan, do you have any comments?
Never asked the pastor if he had comments.
Oh, we might be here for a while.
Dave told me he didn't want to go home till 1 o'clock, so.
Thankfully, we still have donuts.
I don't really,
Just a couple pages.
well, the first thing I'll say, you'll notice in the booklet, there was a deadline to put the written report in that I failed to meet the deadline, and so I am doing a verbal report, and gladly it's you can view it online as well. And most of what I usually do in the report is I think through the year, I think through the experience as a pastor here, and the thing that really comes to mind that I think of and I feel most about it is gratitude. And so that's just what I want to take a minute to do. It's one of my favorite things to just sit and think about all of the ways that the church members here and volunteers make what happens happen. And the flexibility of the church to function in the way that we do with a pastor who's only half-time is unique, and I think I say this every year, it works well, and I love the flexibility of the church. Even, for example, this meeting today, everybody willing to be flexible, waiting for people to arrive online, and when you said, well, what if we don't get anyone? And I said, don't worry, it'll happen. And we ended up with plenty. So those who join online, I like that as a church, we are flexible enough to, and that's just a small example, but I think on an annual basis, broken down to a weekly basis, that's how it actually functions all the time. Nobody gets too impatient with that reality and with the situation, and that's also appreciated. So just to everybody in the church, that's a note of gratitude that I want to express, that despite the unorthodox, not in the formal term, unorthodox, but unorthodox practicing of doing church, that we have continued to thrive. So thank you also to the generosity of everybody in this past year. As we found in the treasurer's report, money isn't everything, but it certainly speaks to the commitment and the willingness of people to be generous towards what the church is and what it's doing. So thank you to everyone here, those listening online, and even those who aren't listening. I send the message to you as well. I don't know if you'll hear it. And then a few specifics that I need to mention, and I always am doing a danger of missing somebody, but forgive me ahead of time for that. So thank you. I want to first say thank you to you, Sarah. You do so many things for this church, and from making sure all of the audiovisual stuff is going each and every Sunday, getting the bulletins written up and printed every Sunday, doing doing a lot of the children's sermons. And then the fill-in side of it is filling in for me on occasion. So there's a lot of things to thank you for, but thank you. And as a church, you have a wonderful gift in her to be doing this. So there you go. That's right. And then a number of other specific people as well. Kathy, thank you for, there's a myriad of things you do, but just some of them are preparing baskets for new members, outreach in ways like that, volunteering in different ways with the church, decorating, and particularly I'm thinking about around Christmas when we do the poinsettias, and around Easter when we do the lilies, and just continuing to do that each and every year, often without being noticed or recognition. It helps just add beauty to the church, and it's a meaningful thing. I don't know if she's listening right now, but to Lori Callahan, all of these things, are they Raymonds? Is that the right word? Parament. See, the pastor should know that. So, and I don't even know how to spell it, but but these things, all of the ways in which, so the church goes through different seasons. Of course, we're right now in the season of Epiphany, but we have several seasons in the church calendar. And I know that others help at different times with some of them, but behind it all and always making sure it's happening is Lori Callahan. And so I'm grateful to her that without even asking her, it just happens. It's kind of like there's a lot of things in this church that are just kind of a miracle, like they just happen. And if you might not even know it's happening, but all of a sudden there it is. It's changed. Yeah. So thank you to Lori and I know that Tim helps her oftentimes with some of that stuff too. So a big thank you to Tim and Lori Callahan. Katrina, I talked to Katrina as she was leaving. She makes these services what they are in so many ways. I was thankful that the council decided to give her a pay raise. And in some ways, there's no amount of money that necessarily is, you don't value that kind of thing, but she's just committed and she's steadfast. And she makes beautiful music every Sunday. And that's just a gift to this church, a gift that a lot of churches are doing without now. Small churches sometimes just have to use a CD or stream in music or something like that, but live music is a beautiful thing. To all those who have ushered and who have done the readings in this past year, a big thank you. Jared and Amanda Cook, I want to thank them. One of the things that they do every year is put up and take down the Christmas tree. It's absolutely beautiful every year. And so I wanted to, it's another one of those things that if you're not paying attention, it just happens, but it really doesn't just happen. Someone has to put in the work to do it. To Amanda for always stepping up to help lead and prepare the Christmas program every year as well. Of course, to the council. Now, this isn't in order either. This is just how it came into my mind. To the council, it is a commitment, as we talked about. We're trying to make it less of a time commitment, but it is a commitment to the church that I appreciate. And no matter how much time it is, whether it's every week, every month, or if it's once every 3 months, just being willing to step into that gap and to lead, I am thankful for. And I thank you to the current council, to those who are outgoing, to Christine, and the other one who left is Beth, or who is finished is Beth. Is that correct? So to Beth and Christine especially, thank you for your time. And we all certainly appreciate it. And to those who've chosen to step in now and to fill in their place, to Jayette and to Amanda, I thank you as well. To Jim Stiles for all things technology, another gift to the church. I'll tell you what, a lot of churches don't have somebody who's willing to play that role and to do so with such competence. Jim, we thank you for that. You connect our church to the wider world. I mean, in a simple way to put it, you connecting our church beyond the doors of this church and the walls of this church. So thank you. To the snow pushers, I know Jim Steele, Gene Hansen helps. There's probably others who've helped. Does anybody know who else helps with that? Oh, Tyler Logodensky, I think. Jamie had said Tyler helps with that. So, of course, big thank you to all those. And even those who push the shovels who are here early and get garbage cans that are stuck in the ice. Kathy, to you. Sarah and Amanda for children's sermons again. Amanda Huber, she's helped with the children's sermons, and we certainly are appreciating that. I know that there are many of you who visit some people who are sick or nursing homes, things like that are members of our church, and I appreciate that. Not in lieu of me, but in the fact that I'm not able to do it as frequently as I want to or even should at times. I know that there are others stepping in our church and doing that. So thank you for that. Sandy and Red for taking over and just volunteering to say, yeah, we'll put these up and see how they look. And I know Red was here during the council meeting last week, and he had to adapt some kind of a cushion type thing to get the light to make sure he could hold it to get up there. And I just thought, how wonderful is that? Again, one of those things that the lights are just there when you come on Sunday, but somebody's behind doing it. So please be sure to thank Red for that. And then lastly, all of you who've made a commitment to this church to contribute in all ways, whether that's, even if that's just your presence here. That's no small thing, and in fact, that's huge. And so thank you for that. Presence here or presence online, just in some way calling this church home, making it your home. We thank you for that. So whoever I've forgotten, I apologize, but those are a lot of the things that came to mind, and I just reiterate that I'm grateful to be here and thankful for all of you. So thanks.
I'm sure Rod Ness appreciates Sandy and Red taking over that job, because for so many years, Rod Ness did that.
Oh, did Rod do that?
And Rod
Oh.
Ness is the one that gets our garbage cans out on the boulevard on garbage collection day.
Thank you.
Years, there's all the behind the scenes things
Yes.
that people have no idea.
So you probably didn't hear online, but we had Kathy brought up, and if there's anyone else to mention, please do, because that Rod Ness used to take care of all the lighting in the church, and he also takes out the garbage and the recycling when it's full out to the boulevard. Those things that I would confess I think just happen, but they don't. We know that. So thanks to Rod for that, and for anything else too that someone might know about, but nonetheless, we're thankful.
Lori's list just goes on and on. Like oil in those candles. How many of you know those candles are filled with oil that Lori replenishes? She does all the shining of when we take everything down before Easter. She's the one
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So I'm going to give her a little more recognition. So we talked about Lori, and Kathy just said that the list that Lori helps with goes on and on. And it really does. There's oil that goes in these candles. There's the shining up of the bronze and the steel. Things that make the church beautiful and make it meaningful that she does behind the scenes. And so we're thankful for that. All right. Well, I think I will put down the mic. I didn't go till 1 o'clock, so. Oh, okay. So, well, whenever you want me to do that, we can go forward.
Okay, we have two more things. My list of people to thank was much shorter than yours, so I'm just going to say thank you, Jordan, for everything you do, and for thanking everyone, because I would have overlooked a few. Our council this past week, we tentatively scheduled an organizational meeting for February 8th at 6 p.m. That is certainly open to be rescheduled based on our two new council members' schedules, but we just wanted something in there so it didn't kind of slip through the cracks.
You want to just mention that Jim usually sends out a Zoom option.
Jim Stiles always sends out a Zoom option for that if you don't have the opportunity to come here in person, or if it's storming or whatever. So that can be set up for the two of you to just get in touch with us. Other than that, the only thing that's left on the agenda is a motion to adjourn. And no one wants to raise their hand. Ron motioned. Dave gave a thumbs up to second. All in favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Would you close in prayer for us, please?
Father, the Lord's Prayer?
Sure.
I'll just lead the Lord's Prayer.
Okay.
Okay.
Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us online. For those of you who do that, thank you for staying here in person. Go get another donut.
And I will be calling people to help with the funeral that's coming up. Oh, yeah.
Kathy will be calling for help for the funeral coming up, just so you know. Thank you.